Hi, how are you guys? My name is Kevin Lowe. I work at Google. It's truly an honor for me to be here today and a real pleasure. I had a chance to see some of the demos, and it's amazing. Obviously, working at Google Fiber, you can see why I'm interested in a lot of the applications that folks here in the room and a lot of your colleagues are working on. So let me just start, and I'll keep my remarks relatively brief. I know that I'm probably standing between you guys and lunch. So let me just provide some background. When we started Google Fiber, we asked cities across America who is interested in working with us to build a gigabit network in your city. To be honest, we thought the response rates would be relatively low. It was pretty obscure and esoteric at the time. We got 1,100 responses from cities, representing almost half the population. And I think that was an amazing and a resounding vote in favor of moving broadband speeds up. Since that time, 4 years ago, we've had an opportunity to sort of witness firsthand really why speed matters. And from our standpoint, you know, we spent a lot of time talking to users out there and people in the general population. And really, I think it's really amazing to see why people, the use cases that people have sort of congregated around, even in our potential, or even in the areas that we're active in today. You know, we've seen businesses doing nothing nearly as complicated as what we just saw here, but businesses that are able to transmit data faster between offices. And one example of my favorite is we had a company that used to literally send a thumb drive, a USB drive, put that USB drive into the hands of one of their employees and had that person go on a plane between Kansas City to Chicago because it was simply faster than transmitting that data online. Obviously, they're not doing that anymore. One of my favorite examples is from Provo. There's a geneticist who works in neonatal ICU, and he used to, when he downloads the human genome, it took him 77 hours, and now he's able to do that in less than half an hour, which is an amazing statistic if you think about it. Something that's relatively ordinary course in your work, what took multiple days now takes you literally less than half an hour, and the productivity and the impact that that has. We've seen use cases up and down the chain. Obviously, for me personally, it's how many Netflix streams in HD I'm watching in my family at 6 o'clock at night. But in addition to the impact that speed has on me and on you, we've also been really impressed about the impact that speed has on we, meaning the communities that we live in. The Fiber to the Home Council, I think, recently published a report that showed GDP growth. There was about $1.4 billion in incremental GDP across 14 cities that had gigabit or high-speed connectivity. We have seen evidence of that in places like Kansas City, where GDP growth, job growth have had materially, seen divergent impacts on that. We have seen debt ratings get increased in Kansas City. We've seen startup formation these are 1,000% numbers and improvements over the last couple of years, obviously off of a relatively small base. Equally, we've seen venture capital and capital formation. We've seen innovation at startups, but we've also seen innovation inside very large companies. And so that's what gets us really excited. These stories are everywhere, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to learn more about the stories that are being created here in the room today. So let me just add a couple things just from context. I get asked a lot about what Google Fiber is up to and what are we doing these days. And so I wanted to just give you guys a quick snapshot of that. So today, we're delivering services in Kansas City, in Provo, and Austin, Texas. In addition to that, you might have heard that maybe about a month and a half ago, we announced that fiber is coming to Nashville, Atlanta, Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte. And just yesterday morning, I know Glenn's from Salt Lake City, we announced that fiber is also coming to Salt Lake City. And Glenn, we're going to work really hard to bring faster internet to your community. Go to Phoenix. Well, we're working with a number of other cities. I think you guys know that we had also announced that we were working with San Jose, San Antonio, Phoenix, and Portland. And the announcements that we've made recently don't mean that we're not coming to some of the other cities, just not yet. There's a long process involved. So right now, over the past maybe 6 to 8 weeks, we've had teams in the other cities that we had announced that have been working very, very hard on literally designing and laying out those networks. For a lot of the folks in the room who know, I'm a software guy by background, so it was hard for me to originally to appreciate the sheer complexity of what it takes to execute the kind of build at this scale. Two quick stories. One point I'd like to make would be, remember that original telecom networks were built bit by bit as a city expanded. And the task of building a build like this with last mile, literally going down every single street is incredibly complicated, especially when you want to go relatively quickly and in one go. And it really puts a lot of strain on the cities. So we've been working really hard in those areas, and we're really excited about the progress that will be made over the course of the year, and we're really excited to continue working with additional cities to see if we can help accelerate the move to a gigabit web. And I just wanted to close out by giving a couple of things that I've observed. We have run hackathons recently in Kansas City, and we've seen some amazing applications. I saw some amazing applications here. At Google, one of our big priorities, at Google Fiber specifically, one of our big priorities this year is really helping to better articulate the story of why people need a gigabit. We fundamentally believe that. That's why we built Google Fiber. We have applications, we have software developers and product managers at Google that have applications they'd love to launch, but just consumers in the marketplace simply don't have that bandwidth. And it's not just at Google, it's up and down Silicon Valley. It's a lot of the folks here in the room today. And so one of the efforts, again, is we're investing a lot of energy in trying to help build and catalyze that ecosystem, not just on the, that ultimately will enable application developers to be able to build those applications a lot more quickly and obviously get them deployed in a much more efficient manner. In closing, as I mentioned earlier, the other story I want to relay to you is we also recently ran an experiment. I think it's on YouTube now, but we had a concert in Austin. Austin is a town full of musicians. But we took the band and we flew them to Kansas City, Provo, and we had the singers in Austin. And we had our network, we had spent a lot of energy tuning it, but they played in our fiber space, and we were able to maintain less than 2 milliseconds of latency for the duration of the concert. And it was amazing. It sounds trivial, but for a lot of folks that were watching it, listening to it, it was really impressive, and it's something we're really excited about, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of those kinds of use cases, both on the academic side as well as on the consumer-facing side. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to thank all of you for your efforts, and let us know what we can do to help working with you guys to build the next set of applications. Thanks.